It is May 4th. I don't know if you guys are into the May jokes, but May the 4th be with you. For social studies today, we have our learning target. I understand and define the Han Dynasty of ancient China and its influence on the modern world. For your question of the day, it's two-part. Please look at your reading guide to answer this question. So, based off your reading guide, who was Confucius and why might he be important? Okay, so Confucius was a very influential person in Chinese culture, and we want to analyze why was he important and who was he. So, go ahead and answer that and then jump back. Okay, great. Welcome back. So, Confucius, he was a philosopher. He was a Chinese philosopher, and he had a lot of the founding ideas and beliefs in China and in their government. So that kind of answers the second part. Why might he be important? Well, a lot of the government was based off of his ideas and his philosophies. So good job. Jumping back, we are going to go over our reading guide. We're going to answer it, and then I will introduce the video that you're watching today, and then we'll do our reflection. Let's go to the reading guide right now. So go ahead and pull this out, please. Pause my video, and once everyone has it out, you can follow along. Okay, so first we have our unit vocab as usual. Make sure you always read through the unit vocabulary because it will help you immensely as you understand the material, reading through it, and then on your tests eventually too. Now, a key vocab here would be Confucius, who we just talked about. He was a Chinese philosopher and teacher. It's important to understand what authoritarian means, which means expecting or by force requiring people to obey rules or laws. There's no personal freedom. So that was another important one. And also, we can understand what lucrative means. It doesn't mean crazy, it means profitable or money making. And then understanding smelting, the process that's used to extract usable iron from raw ore using heat and chemicals. So maybe you already are familiar with what smelting is, but that's when you extract that iron from the raw ore and then you can use it. All right. Of course, Quizlet for vocab practice. Number 1, describe the Han Dynasty. You should have something like this. It's the largest dynasty. It's responsible for developing lasting technologies of this time period, and it's a cultural golden age. So there's a strong government, there's economic growth, there's record keeping, and there's innovations. And like Mrs. DeAngelis talked about yesterday, the Han Dynasty was going on at the same time as other dynasties. We learn them in a specific order, but with the geohistogram, you can see how everything's kind of going on at one time, right? Number 2, the Han Dynasty was the first cultural golden age in Chinese history that saw what? Well, a stable government, economic growth, record keeping, and innovations. Number 3, how was the government organized during the Han Dynasty? This is important to know because it was really successful. So, how was it organized during the Han Dynasty? Well, it was similar to Qin. So, there was the Qin Dynasty. He was a man who ruled before Han. Centralized ideas with appointed government officials. All right. So he used the ideas from Confucius to create a system of governing. It helps them manage society. Okay. So Rome figured out how to manage their giant empire with the central government. Well, so did the Han Dynasty. And they appointed government officials to kind of run each area. Number 4, how are the government officials treated? Well, if you want them to do a good job, you better treat them well, right? That still applies today. Well, they were well educated, they were paid, they were given raises, they were given promotions, and this was dependent on their performance. So it wasn't based on bloodline, it wasn't based on who was the favorite. How you did determined how much money you made or the different jobs that you could get. You could get promoted to get a better job. So it's today in business world when you get a job someday, or even in any job or trade, if you're a good worker, if you can perform well, you get promoted. That's how it worked in the Han Dynasty. Number 5, what principles were the Han government based on? We talked about this in our question of the day, the philosopher Confucius. Number 6, what does authoritarian governing style mean? And we went over this in our terms. So if you read through your terms, that was a fast and quick way to find the answer here. They were strict, okay? Emphasis on obedience to authority, all right? Number 7, the Han kept very good records. So what was one of the most complete records on China's history called? It was called Records of the Grand Historian. And how did the Silk Road help China? This is kind of a lengthy answer. Hopefully you had a lot to say on this, but the concise version, it provided lucrative trade, which we talked about. Lucrative doesn't mean crazy, which I, for some reason, always think lucrative means like crazy, but it means really, really wealthy, a lot of monetary value. So it provided lucrative trade with Rome because Rome had a love for silk. It allowed them to gain more wealth and continue to advance and develop their empire. So the world loved China because China manufactured and produced things that the rest of the world didn't. Sound familiar? Number 9, list 6 inventions made by the Chinese. So there's actually 7 that you could have gotten here. We have paper, we have military crossbows, military technology in general. There is the compass, the seismograph, lacquered pottery, and iron smelting. We talked about what iron smelting was. All right, so you can have those 7. Number 8 and 9 will help you with your reflection. I'll just give you a little quick side note on that, okay? Now, we are going to watch a video. It's the same series as the last video you watched on Rome, which we got a lot of really positive feedback on that. So we're glad you guys enjoyed that. It is super helpful when we're studying history, specifically ancient history, to see those visual aids, see the reenactments, see how people dressed during the time period, see the types of places they lived in. It's really helpful to watch that kind of thing because you can actually start to picture it in your head. It's not just reading the text, right? So we are going to watch another episode. It's episode 2. It's called Iron Men. And you need to start this at the 22-minute mark. If you can watch the Amazon Prime version, that's by far the best quality. Otherwise, the Screencastify version is there as well. Once you're done watching that video, go ahead and do your reflection. What might be a similarity to how China influenced the world in ancient times compared to how China influences the world today? All right. So there are some similarities that I could think of. And like I said before, look at 8 and 9, your reading guide, just kind of brainstorm maybe a similarity or two to today's world. How did they impact the world back then? How do they really impact our world today? Maybe you can think of some other things as well. All right. Great job today, guys, and enjoy the video. Make sure you turn in your reading guide and get all those answers so you can be prepared for the next assessment that we do.